I think every one of Africa's nations should go home and mind their own business. I think we'll be better off working in blocks and in groups of 3s and 5s with similar economic and political circumstances and interests than these collective numbers which amounts to nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, I think AU is only a charade, a meeting place for old politicians who once in a while wants to meet up and drink together. Ladies and gentlemen, they have no reason meeting in Addis Ababa and therefore need no support from anyone until something significant, ladies and gentlemen, occurs. I genuinely believe what I've said has merit.
All right. So I came across this video that was done by this Ghanaian YouTuber where he said, the summary of what he said actually is that his wish is that Africans should go back to their country, mind their business, develop themselves, and be on their own. That is the summary of what he said in this video, of which I'm going to allow you to watch and hear it yourself. And then after watching it, I nodded my head and I said, no, no, no. Maybe these are some of the videos that some Ghanaians, after watching, they will begin to, misbehave. They will begin to behave abnormal. I mean no insult, but I have claims to substantiate my stand. Oh yes. Now, the topic of unity cannot be overemphasized, especially the unity of Africa. Oh yes, that is why on this channel, we bring you videos that, support the unity of this continent called Africa. Yes. Now, there is a popular saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go in twos. It simply means in this context that if Africans want to go far, if Africans or Africa want to grow, that there must be unity. Once there is disunity, hey, forget them. We are not going any further, or we are not growing any further. That is one. And secondly, it is well known that if you bring a broom like this is a single broom, that you can easily break it, right? But when you bring a bunch of broom like this, you can hardly break it. Oh yes, that is how unity and disunity works. If Africa is united, they will be strong, they will grow, and they can stand against their enemies. Oh yes, but if you advocate for, each country being on their own, one, each country can easily be broken. Oh yes, they can be broken. Hold on, we are going somewhere because I have a lot to tell you in this video to substantiate my claim again that Africans need to be united. Now, going to, the West, oftentimes we copy the activities of the West. We copy what they do because what they do actually is helping them to grow. And we are seeing it, they are growing. In fact, they are far, 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 far beyond Africans. The West, I mean. And most times we copy them. But when it comes to important things that we should copy them, emulate them, and practice in our continent, we tend to shy away from those things. We, try to deviate and talk about another thing. That is why it gets me insane that somebody will come on air and talk about the disunity, or whichever way. He actually didn't use the word disunity, but from his words, from his context, what he means is that Africans should be on their, every African country should be on their own, which is not in any way proper. Now, we are going somewhere. In Europe, I ask, how many countries are there in Europe? And how many currencies are they using? I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are 50 countries in Europe. And I think they are using about 25, 26 currencies in Europe. In Africa, how many countries are there in Africa? 54. And I can tell you from research, yes, I think I'm correct. I can tell you that we have about 45 currencies being used in a 54 country in Africa. So tell me, who is more united and who is more disunited? Tell me. That one being apart, in Europe, or should I say in the West now, they formed a body called NATO. This NATO comprises of 32 countries. And you know their slogan? That any insult on one is insult on all. In other words, that any attack on one is an attack on all. The power of unity. And today, every country fear any country that belongs to NATO. Of course, you should know that. The power of unity. That one being aside, again, in the recent time, we saw a drone called the Golden Drone that was launched by Trump. I'm giving you instances that show that unity is the best. Oh yes. We saw in the recent time a drone launched by Donald Trump. Oh yes, his government, of course. And this drone is meant to protect Americans. And you know, we have the North America and the South America, isn't it? But this drone he built is meant to protect them, of which he's even telling, giving the condition of making Canada the 51st or 51 country, that they should join America to make them the 51 country or pay a certain amount if they want to be part of that drone coverage. That is the power of unity. If they are united, they can protect themselves against any enemy. Of course, you know what a drone is and what it works. That is the power of unity. And as I said, remember, there's North America, there's South America. Now, away from that, just imagine that this war going on in Ukraine now, that Ukraine has been alone, that they don't have any allies, they don't have any friends, they are just on their own. Just imagine what would have happened to them if Russia descend on them. But for years now, is it 3.5 years or 4 years or thereabout, they have been standing. I'm not supporting the fight anyways, but I'm just giving you instances that shows that unity is the best. Oh yes. So my dear friend, I want to encourage us, and I want to say it without any apology, that in Africa, what we need is unity. What we need is unity, not this one you are saying that every country should be on their own. No wonder in the recent days, Ghanaians came out and are shouting Nigeria must go, this one, and this one. They don't really know the consequences. It's just unfortunate. Well, my dear people, thank you for watching up to this point. I will now allow you to drop your comment on the comment section what you think. Do you think that we need more unity in Africa, or do you think that every country in Africa should go and stay, mind their business, as the word this our brother used? Do you think that every Africa should mind their business, or Africans should unite and be strong against their enemies? So please do well to drop your comment on the comment section. But then I'll still allow you to watch what this young man said. I love him regardless. I love him. So please watch what he said and the instances he gave, and then after watching it, do well to drop your comment on the comment section what to think about it. I tell you, on this channel, we bring you educative content. Oh yes, much as we bring you informations or what is happening around Nigeria and around the world. So please, just do well to subscribe if this is your first time coming across this channel, all right? But for now, please, let me allow you to watch this.
I will not waste 1 second of your time. And so, here we go. The African Union is sponsored partly by the European Union and NATO and China and stuff like that. Fact. Historically, over 60% of the African Union's total budget, especially for programs and peacekeeping operations, has come from external sources. Fact. The budget of the African Union is therefore subsidized by the international organizations. Fact. The financial contributions of member countries are consistently inconsistent. This has been the case from the very onset, ladies and gentlemen. Some member countries don't pay on time or don't pay in full. Our army is mediocre at best. They are very limited in the supply of ammunitions and intel because their budget is insignificant. Therefore, they depend heavily on intel from the military of the international bodies operating in Africa, like AFRICOM. Ladies and gentlemen, Do you know how fast Islamic jihadist groups and militias are growing in Africa? I looked at the numbers and I was dumbfounded. The list of Islamic jihadist groups and militias in Africa are more than 13 as the main bodies, with dozens of breakoffs. These are some of the common names we have as at now: Boko Haram, ISWAP, bandit groups of Zamfara, ISGS, JNIM, Ansarul Islam, Bozos, M23, Allied Democratic Forces, Codeco, FDLR, CNPSC, and Seleka, Al-Shabaab, Alu Sunnah wal Jamaa. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a plethora of them: White Army, Oromo, Liberation Army, and so on and so forth, with many of the religious groups, extremist groups, leading back to the same source, ISIS. There are so many of them, I lose count, and every day new branches and breakups are adding up. What is going to happen in the next decade in Africa when the numbers grow alongside their reach and access to more funding? Ladies and gentlemen, clearly, if you as a nation or block of nations don't take matters into your own hands and protect your borders and people, very little will be done by the AU to help you when you are in need. In fact, the AU wouldn't bring much difference to that problem. My biggest problem with AU has to do with their stance on interventions. Did you know that the AU forces don't really fight in wars unless attacked? Let me explain how they operate. The AU doesn't wage war like a country would. Instead, it deploys peace support operations, intervention missions, and counter-insurgency efforts, mostly to protect civilians, stabilize fragile states, or fight terrorism. So what happens is AU soldiers go in to provide protection for where civilian settlements are. And if in the process of providing the protection there comes an attack on the settlement, that's when they defend the civilian settlement, ladies and gentlemen. So they are usually on the weight on the defense. Therefore, the militia groups that control territories in the countries the AU armies are located are not really combated so long as they don't move into civilian settlement. This is why AU soldiers may be in a country for decades and the situation wouldn't change, ladies and gentlemen, because they are brought in as a response army and not necessarily to initiate an offense. However, these militia groups, ladies and gentlemen, their intentions are clear: to take over territories by all means necessary, or by killing, exerting fear and terror on people until the people submits or are kidnapped for ransom, sometimes raped, or have their resources or livelihoods taken away from them and their villages burned. This is their mission. When a group such as these, which have some of the most evil missions you can ever think of, is coming against you, there is no room for negotiations. You don't sit back and wait for an attack before you go on the offense. You take the battle to them with all that you have until every one of them is totally annihilated. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I say the AU needs to first dissolve and be reformed with new priorities, so that the countries who will not agree to these new standing orders shouldn't be included. I say this because many of the African presidents are directly in connection with the militia groups and these Islamic jihadist insurgencies. Many of the leadership of these countries are the same people who provide the militias or their groups the intel. Therefore, no matter the effort that is put in, nothing substantial or sustainable comes out. It's either we concentrate on forming regional blocks of 3 and 5 nations, or we restructure AU, because the AU as constructed now is incapable of solving any problem for the long term. The AES is so far proven to be even more effective than ECOWAS and AU in many ways. They have the autonomy to immediately tackle the problems they have as a region and not wait for a 54-member countries of AU or a 16-member country of ECOWAS to sit first. Every day the problems of African countries increases, and until the African Union finds an urgent need and a reason to regroup and restructure what their responsibilities will be, I suggest most countries consider doing what the Sahel region has done. Form your own small groups build your own community security, and take care of your group's problems. And this proposal is not something new on this platform, ladies and gentlemen. I started talking about this from the very first videos I used to make some 2 years ago, even before Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso decided to join forces. You can look it up on my platform at one of the videos titled African Powerhouse That Can Be. African Powerhouse That Can Be. Check it out. The more I research into what AU is about and how they handle issues of terrorism in Africa, the more I'm petrified over the future of this continent. From 2017 to now, more than 5,000 people have been killed by an insurgent group called Alusuna Wajama, or called ISIS Mozambique, which doesn't get the needed attention in African news. 5,000 of them dead. This group is linked to ISIS and have displaced more than 1 million people in Mozambique. They engage in crimes like mass beheadings, kidnappings, and the destruction of villages. They want to seize the whole of the northern province of Mozambique in cities like Cabo Delgado, which is rich in natural gas, to finance their operations. Ladies and gentlemen, Mozambique had elections last year, October, and a new president was elected. This new president, President Daniel Francisco Chapo, has a lot of work to do for a country that is consistently pounded by insurgent attacks or natural disasters. A lot of natural disasters happening there. In 2019, they were hit by a cyclone by name Cyclone Idai, which killed more than 1,000 people. And in 2023, got hit by another cyclone called Cyclone Freddy. But that's just by the way. The main story for this video has to do with how underfunded and unequipped and unprepared AU is when it comes to conflict management in Africa. And I am encouraging the countries in Africa to consider forming their own cliques and blocks for their own protection, because for as long as the West is involved with the AU and the Middle East is also involved with the AU, plus the US is funding operations of extremist groups in Africa, our safest bet will be when we take matters into our own hands. Ladies and gentlemen, this must be seriously considered until the AU reconvenes and re-strategizes to meet the times that we are in. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for taking time to watch this one.
We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. And I can hear the Osagyefo saying, I do not want to be the leader of that country. I simply want unity. And I'm saying that we must live here with one united government. They listen not to the Osagyefo. I can still hear those immortal words of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah telling his Ghanaian peoples that the independence of Ghana means nothing if the rest of Africa is not independent. I can hear the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah.
The 20 reasons why all Africans must unite and rise. Number 1, Africa is rich in resources but poor in unity. Our land overflows with gold, oil, diamonds, cocoa, and fertile soil. But without unity, these riches are stolen. When we are united, our wealth serves our children. When we are divided, it enriches outsiders. Number 2, our borders are man-made. These lines on the map were drawn by colonizers at the Berlin Conference, not by us. They separated brothers and sisters. Unity means tearing down mental borders and embracing one African identity. Number 3, unity is our greatest weapon. Army is stronger than a united people. When we rise together, no foreign power can divide or exploit us. Alone, we are targets. Together, we are a force. Number 4, when we are divided, we serve others. Look at our trade, our politics, our media, too often controlled by outsiders. Division makes us servants. Unity makes us sovereign. Number 5, Africa's true independence has not yet been achieved. We won flags and anthems, but many nations are still controlled through debt, foreign aid, and military bases. Unity is the path to true and final liberation. Number 6, our youth are dying in the deserts and seas chasing false dreams. Why? Because we haven't built a continent of opportunity. Let us unite and create jobs, hope, and a reason to stay in the motherland. Number 7, the African soil grows everything, yet our people go hungry. With unity, we can produce enough food for all. With unity, we build food security and eliminate hunger across the continent. Number 8, our leaders must serve the people, not foreign powers. Too many leaders answer to Paris, Washington, or Brussels. A united Africa demands accountability to the people, not puppetry to the West. Number 9, we are 1.4 billion strong. We are the youngest population on earth. Imagine the power of 1.4 billion minds, hands, and hearts working for Africa. That is a giant that no one can ignore. Number 10, they fear our unity because it ends exploitation. As long as we are weak and divided, they take our gold and give us crumbs. United, we control the game. That is why they fear a strong Africa. Number 11, African solutions must come from African minds. We have the wisdom, culture, and intelligence to solve our problems. We don't need foreign experts to tell us how to run our continent. Number 12, our culture, traditions, and values are treasures. From language to music, Africa is rich in spirit, but unity is needed to protect it from cultural invasion and preserve our identity. Number 13, no African should feel foreign in another African country. You are not a stranger in Ghana, in Kenya, or in Mali. You are home. We must break the visa chains and open our arms to one another. Number 14, education must teach Pan-Africanism. Our schools must tell the truth about colonialism, slavery, and resistance. Our children must learn to love Africa and fight for her. Number 15, a united Africa can build its defense, its own currency, and its own destiny. Why beg for security from the same powers that exploit us? With unity, we defend ourselves and build an African army, an African bank, and an African future. Number 16, we must trade with each other, not only with the West and East. Africa imports from Europe what it can grow in Nigeria. It buys from China what it can build in South Africa. With unity, we create intra-African trade that enriches Africa. Number 17, our natural wealth must serve our children, not foreign corporations. Gold and oil must build schools, not Swiss bank accounts. Unity ensures that what is mined in the ground is invested in the people. Number 18, Africa must speak with one voice in global affairs. When 54 nations speak separately, they are ignored. When they speak as one, they are respected. Unity is our political power on the world stage. Number 19, let us stop begging from those who stole from us. Why should we ask for aid from those who looted our ancestors? Unity gives us dignity. Dignity gives us strength. Number 20, before the motherland becomes rich, Africans must unite. Without unity, we will remain poor despite our riches. With unity, we will rise and take our rightful place in history. The time is now. Unity is not a dream. It is our only path forward. Let us rise together as one people, one continent, and one destiny. Long live Pan-Africanism. Long live the United States of Africa. Long live the freedom of the African people.
All right. So what do you think? Do well to drop your comment on the comment section. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you very much, and God bless you.